confident you're going to walk away with some really practical things you can do. Okay. We're going to start by making sure we have some clear background knowledge. Okay, so this is one of those activities where I don't expect you to memorize Marzano's 8 characteristics of effective vocabulary instruction that are based on sound research, but I do expect us all to have some background knowledge on it. So each of your tables has some colored strips. You're going to work in pairs with the exception of this table. You 3 will work together. Okay? We're going to do an activity called Run the Tournament, and it is just what it sounds like. We're going to run the tournament to come up with a winner or the characteristic that we feel has the highest degree of importance and relevance toward our professional practice. Now, I want to emphasize that just like the musical cards activity, even though we're coming up with a winner, it's more for discussion and for you to get familiar with all 8 characteristics. It's an analyzing strategy, okay? Rather than to come up with the one that is actually emerged through the research as the most important. So treat this as a way to get to know these 8 characteristics. So the way this will work is you and your partner or partners will just go ahead and shuffle your cards, okay? And you're going to start with the first 2 that come up. So the first 2 on my list, characteristic number 2, students must represent their knowledge of words in linguistic and non-linguistic ways. And characteristic number 8, instruction should focus on terms that have a high probability of enhancing academic success. And between the 2 of us, we're going to figure out which one do we think has the most importance and relevance to our professional practice, and that one advances. Okay? So this one advances, this one doesn't. I'm going to go through all 8, and I'm going to have 4 winners, right? So then I'm going to run the tournament again with those 4, come up with 2. And again, I'm going to come up with 1. And then, once you've determined your winner and runner-up, you can pick from any of the remaining 6 a consolation card. So which one got eliminated early that you think, yeah, but that one I need to pay attention to? Okay? So when you finish running the tournament, you're going to have a winner, a runner-up, and a consolation. Make sense? Okay. I'm only going to give you 5 minutes to do this, which means you're going to have to make quick decisions. What you guys end up with? First, second, voice. Cool. Good. We're deciding on consolation. Okay.
So what came up?
What's your first name? First? Second? You don't have one? Okay.
And they're all important. Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, I think they're all important, and so it's hard to make that.
Less than 1 minute.
So again, the purpose is more just so you kind of realize that. Yeah.
30 seconds. Kids getting home outside right now. It doesn't work with every word. Okay. Lenny said it great. He said, it's kind of like choosing which of your 8 kids you like best. You know, they're all important. My question today was what has the most importance and relevance for your professional practice today. And let's see what emerges, and then I have a couple of different ways to frame that question. How many of you thought characteristic number 1 made your top 3? Most of you, good. Absolute essential. You know, the old-time practice of assigning a list of words, having students look them up in the dictionary, copy a definition, and write a sentence. Research is showing that's slightly more effective than not doing anything, but not a whole lot. get a whole lot more bang for your buck in terms of instructional time and energy with just a few other little things. Okay, so that's huge. How about number 2? Students must represent knowledge of words in linguistic and non-linguistic ways, which is a fancy word for graphic, kinesthetic, picture, any way other than words. Came a couple of times. How many of you have your students draw pictures, symbols, representations? Great, huge. In fact, I think the Marzano meta-analysis, I saw 21 percentile point difference in kids who used non-linguistic representations to learn words versus those who didn't. That's big. That's really big. Characteristic number 3 involves gradual shaping through multiple exposures. A couple of you. I'm hoping we get to some of those mucking around strategies today, because that's really what it's about. If you want students to truly understand a word deeply, be able to apply it on their own and retain it over the long term, you have to provide structured practice opportunities. Have to. The research is unequivocal about that. You have to do it. Characteristic number 4, teaching word parts. Enhanced understanding. Fancy word for that is morphology. Prefixes, suffixes, roots, and base words. And we know that a very small number of prefixes and suffixes are used in, depending on the study you look at, 80 to 90% of academic English words. So you can get some pretty good, efficient education there. Characteristic 5, different types of words require different types of instruction. Now, I'll show you a couple of different types today, but certainly there are a lot more out there than what I'm going to show you. Students should discuss the terms they are learning. Yeah, and please note that student-to-student discussion and activity, not teacher-to-student. That's student-to-student refinement of word understanding. And characteristic 8, 7, students should play with words. Have fun with vocabulary. How many of you do that? Play vocab games? Think how you could use Name That Concept, what we did with craft knowledge this morning. Ball blast, inside out, any of the things we've done to reinforce your vocabulary terms. And characteristic 8, we need to choose the right words. And that's actually emerging as very important in the research right now. Are you choosing the right words? Can't teach them all, so which ones do we choose? We're not going to hit on that a whole lot today, although I'll just show you some criteria to consider. Okay? Now, I'm not going to ask you to go through these again, but what if I had asked you to run the tournament based on the ones that you do the most and least well? Because if we say they're all important, which ones do you do the most and least well? Okay? That's another way we could have looked at this. And if you just think about those ones that you could improve on, look for things throughout the next couple hours that you can do to augment that practice. Write them down so you don't forget. Okay? All right, we do have handouts for the rest of this.
Yep.
I think they're the ivory ones. I didn't give you every slide, but you're going to get a few of the slides you can take down from